Liverpool fans, big transfer drama is unfolding. Dominik Szoboszlai could be heading to Real Madrid, while Darwin Nunez fires back at Saudi interest. Who's staying? Who's leaving? Hit subscribe and turn on notifications to stay ahead of every Liverpool transfer update. Liverpool's stance on selling Dominik Szoboszlai to Real Madrid as agent speaks the Hungarian midfielder's future has been under the spotlight in recent days. With talk of his interest in representing Real Madrid and a public statement from his representatives, Liverpool fans get understandably jittery when Real Madrid's name is mentioned in relation to their star players. The Reds have lost too many top talents to Los Blancos over the years, and relations were certainly not helped by what Liverpool felt was a derisory offer for Trent Alexander-Arnold last year, before he ultimately ended up at the Bernabeu the following summer. Since then, Ibrahima Konate, Ryan Gravenberch, and Alexis Mac Allister have all been linked with a move to the Spanish capital. Last week, it was Dominik Szoboszlai whose links with Real drew unwanted headlines. In truth, those reports were based on little. His international manager, Marco Rossi, last week claimed was Szoboszlai's dream to represent Real as a child, a fantasy millions throughout the world will share. Vinicius Jr. then amplified the noise with the revelation that the Liverpool midfielder is among his closest confidants outside of the Real dressing room. That he also mentioned players from Barcelona, Manchester City, Chelsea, and AC Milan was somewhat overlooked. Other than that, there have been no actual reports stating Real is actively interested in Szoboszlai. In many ways, the speculation is a microcosm of the modern media landscape, where noise and filling the gaps are king. That Mohamed Salah stated Szoboszlai is now among the world's best players, and recent comparisons to Steven Gerrard no doubt served to heighten the story. Admittedly, the Hungarian's recent admission that contract talks have not progressed in recent weeks has provided an interesting backdrop to this inflated transfer tale, but with over 2 years remaining on Szoboszlai's current deal and talk that he could be a future Liverpool captain, there's little concern internally that a new deal has not been forthcoming. Should that remain the case after the summer, the situation may need to be reevaluated, of course. But for now, any suggestion that Liverpool is expecting Real to come knocking is incorrect. Even so, those conversations would not last long. The Reds have no intention of allowing the season's standout performer to depart. That was underlined by comments from Szoboszlai's agent, who moved to quell quickly to dispel any media furor before it could begin. It's completely normal for the public, when Dominik is performing like this, to talk about what's next and if there's something higher. Matthias Esterhazy told Hungarian outlet NB1. For us, it's not a topic. So at the moment, to talk about what will happen in the summer, in my opinion, is not correct. Not to mention, Liverpool are one of the biggest clubs in the world, and Dominik is in a position within the team that has a lot of reserve. So we are not looking outside or elsewhere. On this occasion, there's no need for panic around Anfield. The immediate focus for Szoboszlai will be maintaining his outstanding form. The ex-RB Leipzig man has scored 5 in his last 8 and is in a shoe-in to be crowned Liverpool's Player of the Season. Darwin Nunez delivers perfect response to Saudi acts with message to Al Hilal owners. Darwin Nunez sent a pointed message to Al Hilal's owners just days after the former Liverpool striker was omitted from the club's squad for the Saudi Pro League. Darwin Nunez sent the perfect message to his own club's owners after being frozen out at Al Hilal. The former Liverpool striker finds himself out of the picture in Saudi Arabia, just 6 months after making the move to the Middle East from Anfield, having been left out of his team squad for the remainder of the Pro League season. With Saudi sides only able to register 8 foreign players born before 2003 in their squads, Nunez has been forced to step aside after Karim Benzema was signed during the winter window, with the former Real Madrid star effectively taking the Uruguayan's place for the remainder of the league campaign. Explaining the decision to drop Nunez and former Arsenal defender Pablo Mari, Al Hilal boss Simone Inzaghi said, "The decision was difficult, but that's the job of coach. He makes many decisions every day, even in every training session. Nunez and Pablo are good players. I want them in all competitions, but we know the restrictions on registering foreign players. Time was of the essence, and I made the difficult decision. I calmly informed excluded players of my decision. Despite such a big setback, Nunez can still play in the AFC Champions League for Al Hilal. and he grabbed his latest opportunity with both hands. The 26-year-old scored both goals in a 2-1 win over United Arab Emirates side Al Wahda, just days after being omitted from his side's league squad. Having scored the winner 13 minutes from time after Al Wahda had equalized during the first half, Nunez turned and stared towards the director's box at the Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, seemingly in a pointed message to his employers. Nunez's goals ensured Al Hilal finished top of the league stage of the competition, having already secured a spot in the last 16. Nunez now has a maximum of just 5 games remaining to play this season, with the possibility that he could only make 2 more appearances before the end of the campaign. Al Hilal faces Roberto Firmino's Al Sadd next in the knockout stages, with the last 16 games taking place over 2 legs before the competition moves to 1-leg games from the quarterfinals. It would appear likely, then, that an exit will be on the cards for Nunez in the summer, with his move to Saudi Arabia having not worked out as planned. Liverpool may not be best pleased either, with the Reds set to miss out on some performance-based add-ons, having agreed to around $14 million, £10.4 million, in extras from Al Hilal. Liverpool news. Virgil van Dijk left gutted as favourite to inherit captaincy. Named Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk has been left gutted following a fresh development at Anfield. Liverpool's injury list continues to dominate headlines as the Reds look to finish the season in strong fashion. Arne Slot's men are paying the price for a costly autumn period, and a number of squad setbacks promise to unravel much of the club's recent good work. Slot's side head into Sunday's Premier League clash against Nottingham Forest, missing a number of key names. Liverpool have made the most of the resources on hand to win 4 of their last 5 games despite the setbacks, but the squad is entering the most testing portion of the campaign as fatigue sets in. The Reds are still in the running to clinch a couple of trophies this term, assuming the Premier League crown is out of reach. Champions League and FA Cup honours remain on the line, though certain absences will drastically affect selection in the weeks to come. With that in mind, the club have been particularly rocked by the latest piece of fitness news. And Mirror Football dissects the latest happenings around Anfield as the club looks to resume its Premier League ascent. Van Dijk backs Szoboszlai for captaincy. Dominik Szoboszlai is looking like a shoo-in to be named Liverpool's Player of the Season after climbing to new heights at Anfield this term. And with more strings added to his bow, the Hungarian has been backed to one day take over the armband. Calls for Sobos to inherit the captaincy have been gathering pace this season. The 25-year-old has scored 10 goals and laid on 7 assists in 35 outings this term, which is all the more impressive given he's been moved between central midfield, right back, right wing, and other responsibilities. Szoboszlai has even earned comparisons to club icon Steven Gerrard as a result of his purple patch. And incumbent captain Van Dijk paid his teammate major praise by giving his own seal of approval to one day take over the armband. Obviously, he has been very good, said the Dutchman. Also a player who I think can still make the next step in terms of being a leader for this team. It starts by leading by example, and that's something he has done so far this season. But also everything around it. There is still progress to be made, and that's a good thing in my opinion. So, hopefully he will be very important for the years to come at Liverpool. Van Dijk, who has a contract at Anfield until 2027, stopped short of anointing his teammate for the role right now, given he still enjoys his own place of seniority. However, such high praise from the current skipper further illustrates the level of respect Szoboszlai commands within the squad. Endo injury news gutting for Liverpool. Liverpool were recently rocked by news that Wataru Endo could miss the rest of the season following his injury in the 1-0 win at Sunderland. The Japan international got his foot awkwardly caught in the turf while attempting a clearance, all the more agonizing given it was his first league start of the season. Endo, 33, hasn't been able to crack a place in Slot's midfield, but helped the team out by filling in as a makeshift right back. Usual picks Connor Bradley and Jeremy Frimpong are already on the treatment table, while Joe Gomez has been in and out with injuries for months. Van Dijk expressed just how gutted the rest of the squad was upon learning the extent of Endo's injury. However, the skipper put on a show of unity in light of the setback and highlighted Endo as an important figure despite his lack of prominence. It's a shame. We were all really gutted after the Sunderland game, said Van Dijk. I had a similar injury when I was at Southampton, a foot injury, and it's not an easy one to take. But we are here for him. We are going to be together with him all the way and support him with everything he needs. It's not great. He is such an important and respected member of the team. He's one of the leaders, and he always leads by example as well. On the pitch, he gives everything, and you saw that in the game. It's a big blow, but we have to deal with it, and we will. Hopefully it's not going to take too long, but it looks like it will be a while. Liverpool desperate to agree deal before Real Madrid can pounce. Liverpool have already begun to rebuild the squad that won the Premier League last season. The forward line was the main focus last summer, with 2 new fullbacks also being added, and a deal has already been agreed for Jeremy Jacquet to move to Anfield and bolster the defense in the summer. The Reds' next logical step is to address the midfield, especially as there have been times this season that all of the club's available midfielders have been on the pitch at once. A whole host of midfielders have been linked with a Merseyside move ahead of the summer, but one of the most intriguing names is Keith Smith, and a fresh report has offered more insight into Liverpool's pursuit of the Dutchman. Why Liverpool are prioritizing Keith Smith. Arne Slot's side are not the only ones interested in signing Smith this summer, with several of Europe's top sides, including Real Madrid, also monitoring the 20-year-old. According to a report from Spanish outlet Fichajes, the Reds have accelerated their interest and even contacted Smith's entourage to get a deal agreed before any other team can. A fee of around €50 million, pound 43.5M, could be enough to persuade AZ Alkmaar to sell, but with multiple teams interested, a bidding war is always a possibility. The report states that Liverpool are keen to avoid finding themselves missing out on another midfield target to Real Madrid, with Jude Bellingham and Aurelien Tchouameni both opting to join Los Blancos over the Reds in years gone by. Smith has established himself as a key player for AZ Alkmaar and has demonstrated versatility in midfield that will be extremely useful in the Premier League. With some doubt over the futures of a number of Liverpool's current midfield options, the Reds' desire to get a deal done as soon as possible is understandable. But things are rarely that simple in football. Man United and Liverpool joined forces over £750 million Premier League plan after shareholders meet, though. They are bitter rivals on the pitch. Manchester United and Liverpool are set to fight the Premier League's plans to take control of perimeter advertising sales to generate some £750 million annual revenue. Manchester United, Liverpool, and other members of the Premier League's Big Six are set to oppose plans to take control of perimeter advertising sales. English top-flight officials unveiled their ambitious proposal at a shareholders' meeting last week, claiming that an additional £750 million in annual revenue could be generated. The approach would see the Premier League oversee a central negotiation on advertising hoardings, rather than clubs securing their own deals with preferred brands. However, United, Liverpool, and Manchester City are among the clubs that have reportedly turned their noses up at the idea. When approached by the Daily Mail for comment, however, none responded. The deal framework would see 60% of pitchside advertising sold through the league. Meanwhile, the number of premium commercial partners would also rise from 7 to 10 in the process. Said revenue brought in would then be sent to all 20 Premier League teams, with allocation on divisions depending on a number of factors. At the time of writing, clubs have access to 5 minutes of advertising space on their boards during matches. However, this is reduced to just 2 minutes when games are televised, with the remaining 3 being allocated to broadcasters. It is claimed that many elite-level clubs share a view that their levels of expertise in the commercial department is not matched by the Premier League. After last week's meeting, one chief executive also raised concerns over a conflict of interest with existing club sponsors in advertising rival brands despite long-standing deals with certain products. Despite the Premier League also declining to comment on matters, sources say that the move will be nothing but a benefit to clubs. Officials are also expected to continue to hold talks with clubs in the coming months.